Hello, Assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And today is the 2nd of May 2025. It is 11:17 p.m. I thought let's just start off looking and acting and sounding very, very smart, as if I'm about to give the news. But yeah, no. Hey presto, the story of my life. You know the days, but it happens to, I think there are certain people around here who are just like me, when the day you actually get the courage to get some work done, a particular work that you really don't want to do, because as soon as you do it, something's going to mess it up. But then, you spend days encouraging yourself that, okay, no, okay, let's just do it. Let's just get it done. It has to be done. So let's just get it done. And then when you go and do it, hey presto, it gets effed up. How many of you have been through that? And for how many of you is it the actual story of your lives? I wonder. Because it is the story of my life. So for about a week, I was resisting doing deep cleaning of the house, because every single day, especially in the early mornings by dawn and at night, there's been this constant, wave of winds and breezes filled with dust, right? And I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm not going to waste my efforts on this. No, it's not going to be worth it. And then, after about half a week or so, or almost a week, and I'm like, okay, let's just get off our haunches and get it done. And then, in fact, in less than half a week, sorry, I start cleaning one part of the house, and then another part. And then I'm like, okay, let's just clean outside. Outside was the main problem, actually. Inside, I had actually managed to clean twice or thrice. And every single time it was, again, just wasted because the dust blew in. Okay? By the way, it doesn't matter how many windows and doors you get closed. Dust will always have a way to grace you. Air may be restricted. Airflow can be restricted, but not dust. No. Dust. It just creeps in, even in closed spaces, which everybody knows. And then, when I finally get so sick and tired and fed up of everything, and I'm like, okay, let me just clean outside as well. And then when I clean outside, again, a bit of a dusty breeze begins, but not too bad of a damage. Okay, can live with it. After another day or two, then I clean the upstairs terrace outside. Okay, done. And then the very next day, which was yesterday night, huge dust storm, windstorm, dust storm, okay, followed by rain. And everything's back to zero. Everything's back to square one. And so early in the morning, at dawn, once again I start. Despite the fact that I'm actually fighting with myself and resisting, I'm like, no. F it, screw it, just leave it. But then no, I'm like, okay. I again, console myself, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's just clean outside. And then I clean outside, and then I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? While I'm waiting for the gardener, might as well fix a little bit of the damage that was done. A lot of damage was done, apparently. A lot of trees fell down. But considering the severity of the storm, thankfully, at least around us, around our areas, nobody suffered huge damages or even any damage. The max damage that any of us suffered was trees bending over, and maybe a creeper or two falling off the walls. Yeah, and trees shedding their leaves, palm trees shedding their leaves. So I grabbed all the leaves that were, half fallen in the sense that the palm trees, their leaves had fallen because of the storm, but they had caught onto other plants. So grabbing them off of those plants and placing them down on the ground, rotating, picking up and rotating flower pots so that the huge plants on those, which suddenly decided to overgrow in just a few days, that they should sort of, stand back upright again, because they were literally beginning to touch and hit the bulbs. Yeah, the outside lights. So getting that, and then when the gardener comes, it's amazing how the gardener always has an excuse for. I'm telling him that, okay, you know what, at least turn the plant back to its original position. After all, the flower pot almost fell. It was a rubber plant. Now, rubber plants, they tend to grow into trees. So somehow, as the gardener told me, that somehow actually the roots of the rubber plant went through the flower pot beneath and went all the way into the soil of the lawn, the garden. And that's why he was like, oh no, if we turn it, then it will die. I'm telling you, it will die. I'm like, just remove it out of the pot, put it directly into the soil. No, it will die. I'm telling you, it will die. Seriously? I'm like, it didn't die when it spun 180 degrees, shifting its position, you know. That means that its roots have literally twisted 180 degrees. You just have to twist them back so that they can get back to their original position, even if they're, underneath. And how will they die? I said they haven't died yet. Why will they die now when you're shifting it back to its original position? But no, okay. So this is something at the end that I will have to do myself, or I'll just have to insist that he digs it out, cuts off the excess roots, replant it in the soil. Who says it can? I mean, I can literally see new roots forming out of that, out of the ends of the rubber tree or the rubber plant. Says who it will die if we remove it and replant it in the soil? Seriously, what's wrong with people? Anyway, yeah, I even then fixed the aubergine or brinjal plant that had almost fallen. I put it back in its place. The jasmine plant that had fallen off, he stuck it back on um, to its hook by the wall. So, okay, that was, the. And there's this huge vine that we have, or creeper, you can say, of, you know, um, flowers that needed to be put back in place again because they also fell off. The whole plant kind of fell off of its place. I mean, point is that, okay, so that. Now, with regards to light, as we know, trust Pakistan's power plant to never be stable and to always cause problems. And as I've always said, it's a miracle we don't suffer more damages than we already do. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. If anything, it proves the existence of God, seriously. The way they wreak havoc with electricity. And now when all the rains and all the thunderstorms had stopped and everything, today in the morning when everything had calmed down, everything had gone, they decided to now wreak havoc with the electricity. Now light is coming and then it's powered off, and then it's coming and then it's powered off. And so last time I checked, the light was back. So I was like, okay, because I hadn't slept all night, I worked all morning. I was like, okay, let me just try to sleep because I was totally exhausted. And then when I sleep for a few hours and wake up and I see there's no light, I'm like, hang on, when I went to sleep there was light. Why is the problem with having solar, especially a hybrid system, is you just don't know when your grid's offline. Because in the morning you're not using grid. You see, you're selling to the grid. You're using your own electricity that your solar system is producing. So it has nothing to do with grid in the sense that it doesn't matter if you have grid or not. It doesn't matter if there is light or not, because you're producing and using your own light throughout during the day. And so it's always in the evenings when you realize that something's wrong, you know. And then in the evening when I saw that there's still no light, and then I found out that everybody else had got light, that light was coming and going and coming and going. It was intermittent, but right now, as of that time, they had light. And so I immediately understood, okay, so the breaker's tripped. Now here's the thing. Our main breaker has never tripped. In all the years that we have had it, touch wood, mashallah, it has never, ever, ever tripped until recently. The first time it tripped when the electricians were doing some job and they caused a power surge, or should I say a short circuiting basically. They try to use more power in an outlet, and probably the wrong outlet. And this is something I think I talked about in one of my previous podcasts. And they had basically caused a sort of a short circuiting that caused the breaker to trip. And they didn't even know. They didn't even know that they, as I said, it is daytime. When it's daytime, you don't even know what the flip is going on because you're on solar. And so they had no idea that they had caused a trip. And we spent the whole day and half the night without grid. And obviously it was at night that I realized what had happened, and then I told my parents, and then we called the electricians. And so imagine. And now the thing about Pakistan is, usually when you have problems with your electricity, 99.9 times your electrician's done something. This is a fact. Everybody agrees with that. 99. It has never happened that something should happen on its own. It's always the electrician that has done something. As I said, that was the first time ever in the history of having these breakers that they tripped when the electricians were doing something, right? So obviously now when it is stripped a second time, I'm like, okay, they've done something. Either they have put the wrong load, distributed the wrong load at the wrong time, or they've maybe added both because we have two separate solar systems. One is grid tied, one is hybrid. And I'm like, okay, maybe they just put both of them together in one breaker and they've overloaded the damn thing. I don't know what they've done. Anyway, not that it should be overloaded, but still, you never put two different systems in one breaker because they're completely different systems. But you see, this is how you have to constantly think when you're living in a place like Pakistan, because this is the kind of things people do. For example, as one of my friends and neighbors, she was telling me that just a few days ago, or maybe a month ago, she had a problem, an electricity problem. She called the electrician, and what did he do? He did something that caused her connection to somehow link with the ATM of the bank below, because she lived in the flats above and the bank was in the same building below. And she said he had somehow connected them in such a bad way and he took 1,000 rupees from her for this. Imagine that every time they wanted to close down the shutter of the ATM, they would get electric shocks. And she kept on and on calling the electrician, and he never picked up the phone. Never. Because he knew what he had done. She was right. He knew what he had done, and that's why he wasn't picking up the phone. So they had to get another electrician who then rewired everything and fixed the issue. So that's what I'm saying. We literally are paying people to cause us harm. In Pakistan, that's how it is. You're literally, you pay the plumber to cause you harm and damage. You pay the electrician to cause you harm and damage, and then you pay them again to fix the same damage that they've caused. This is how they're making money. They're causing you damage. They know they've caused you damage. You know they've caused you damage, but they will force you to pay them for fixing that damage that they caused initially. This is why people are always on edge now in Pakistan, especially when it comes to these things. This is why I especially now get on edge, because, as I said, 100% of my problems are initiated or created by others. There is not a single problem or tension in my life, believe it or not, that has been caused by me myself. No. 100% of my tensions, my stresses, my problems, my issues are always created by others. And I have to fix their shit because they throw their shit on me, in other words. This is how our society is, and this is why our people are just getting on edge now, especially with the illegal government and the army on our heads, doing all these political diva dramas and all. And it's like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with these people. We should have, as I've said 1,000 times, we should have just killed them and be done with it. But there you go. That is the biggest problem with our people. Everybody complains, but nobody wants to do anything. This is my biggest problem with the people here. And the point is that our generation is even more aware of the fact that everybody has a problem, but nobody wants to fix the shit. So that just makes us even madder. The fact that the people of Pakistan, the vast majority of the people of Pakistan, refuse to do something to fix the situation, and that they refuse to change themselves, because the only way you can change a system is by changing yourself first. But you refuse to change yourself, and then you don't even want to change anything around you, and you want that somebody else should come do all the hard work for you while you sit and eat. Well, that's not how things go. I'm sorry. They may have gone that way in your time, but you know what? That's the consequences of what we're right now bearing. We're bearing the consequences of exactly that. So, yeah, no, thank you. We need to fix the shit. So, keeping again, all that in mind, I was like, oh, okay, these guys have done something. And then my luck, as my luck would have it, called them at 7. The electrician kept saying, oh, I'm sending them over. I'm sending just 15 minutes, just 15 minutes. An hour and a half passed. And he kept on saying, oh, no, I'm sending them. I'm sending them. I'm like, what the frack is going on here? So I'm sitting there for an hour and a half waiting for them to come and do what? Something that I could have easily done, and that is turn the breaker back on. Now, the reason I wasn't turning the breaker back on is I wanted to make sure that there was no actual damage, because we all know that sometimes it's not as simple as turning your breakers back up, okay? Sometimes what happens is that if you are not exactly sure of what's happened and you turn the breakers back on, there could be a spark, another short circuiting, and then everything blows. And it has happened, by the way. It has, again, remember, we are living in Pakistan. We're not living in bloody England, where we could say, oh no, that cannot happen. Yeah, this is Pakistan, where the most unthinkable things happen. Okay, this is Pakistan, where even your ceiling fan can suddenly sway madly when suddenly your capacitor decides to burn out, at the same time having your dimmer conk out on you. Yeah, this is Pakistan. Okay, remember I talked about legit fears that you can have when you live in a place like Pakistan, that constant hyper vigilance, that state of high alert that you're constantly finding yourself in, as if you're in a freaking war zone. That is what we go through mentally day in and day out. So you can imagine why I was pissed off, because listen, I don't like waiting. The kind of person I am, if somebody wants me to do something, I inconvenience myself, but I get that thing done on time. If I have to meet somebody, I go 1 hour before and I meet that person, and that person is always late, by the way. If you're dealing with people in Pakistan, they're always late. You're always before time, they're always late. And this is the irony of it, because you call yourselves Muslims, but you do realize that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that a person who does not observe punctuality is not a Muslim. You do realize that there is the hadith, right? That a person who does not observe punctuality is not amongst us. In other words, he's not a Muslim. So yeah, technically speaking, I think I would try to recheck with my faith, okay? Yeah, just do a double check there. Are you sure you're Muslims? Because you didn't even get the basics right, And it is true, wasting somebody's time is something that even God cannot compensate you for, okay? The person whose time you wasted, God even cannot compensate for that time. It's not like he's going to get that time back. Remember, God swears by time when he says, verily by time man is in loss, okay? Yeah, so excuse me. Verily, man is in loss, and God swears by time. What does that tell you? Time. Man is in loss. Time waits for nobody. Time cannot be compensated. It cannot be brought back. Okay? So, when you're wasting somebody's time, you're actually wasting a huge chunk of that person's life that even God cannot compensate for. So, that's not something that you're going to get away with lightly either. Keeping all of that in mind, imagine why I was getting peed off again, because okay, so now literally a stone's throw. Yeah, the electrician is literally a stone's throw away. It's like if I have to walk to the electrician, it would take me 5 to 10 minutes, and if they come on a bike to my place, it would take them literally just 2 minutes, and yet I had to wait an hour and a half. Well, anyway, finally he sent his son, and then his son told me that no, actually all the boys are busy because of the storms that took place last night. A lot of damage is done in various places, so they've gone to all those different customers of ours. They're taking care of their problems, and they haven't yet come back. Not a single one of them is yet back. So I'm here now. And his son actually doesn't work for him. I mean, he just helps his dad. He has his own job, he works somewhere else. And it's just that because it was an emergency, so his dad sent him because nobody else was available. And his dad kept on and on telling me, oh, wait 15 minutes, wait 15 minutes. And an hour and a half had passed. So he came. And then, we found out that the fault was that one of the cables coming from LESCo short circuited. Now, here's what I don't get. And you see, this is what I was also trying to tell him. He felt it a bit odd that I kept on. He's like, I'm like, listen, I've already turned off all the fridges and everything. And he's like, aren't they on stabilizers? I'm like, yes, they've got extra stabilizers. And he's like, then I'm like, this is Pakistan. This is not freaking England. This is Pakistan. Hello. And he was like, okay, no. I'm like, no. I'm like, here's a good example, a perfectly good example. Even you couldn't understand why this cable short circuited because according to you, it's very well insulated, very well padded, and taped off, and it's a job well done, according to you. And even you're scratching your head wondering how the damage occurred, how the short circuiting occurred. In other words, this is Pakistan. You know, this is Pakistan. Well, anyway, at least he was nice enough because he took the time. I needed to get some answers straight so that the things that I was panicking about, I wanted to make sure that none of those mistakes were made. And it's like, yeah, no, the two systems are on separate breakers. We didn't join them. I'm double checking it. There's no extra load put in the wrong space. Everything is fine. The breaker is like 100 amperes, and you don't even have that much load put onto it, and it's fine. There on our end or on your end, there is no any such problem that can cause such a problem. And I'm like, okay, but still, the fact that this breaker has never tripped from the day we had it, it's never tripped. And the first time it tripped was when these electricians were doing something and they caused a sort of short circuiting. And now again, a cable, I mean, one of the Vabda's cables short circuited. I mean, see, as I'm saying, this is Pakistan. In Pakistan, you should always expect the unexpected worst. Things that, as I said, you can never think about when you're living in another country. I have lived in different countries, and I swear, in none of those countries have I ever for a second even thought that any issue can occur with gas or electricity or water. But over here, 24/7, the one day I finally am so exhausted that I can put my guard down, it happens. Imagine, like, it's like as if God is deliberately doing this to you, is that he's like, stay 24/7 in deep stress and nothing will happen. And when you're finally exhausted after months and years of stress, and every now and then, the one day you let your guard down, that's the exact one day God is going to fuck with you. And this is the story of my life. It's amazing. It's amazing how he does that. I have tested it time and again throughout, and it always happens exactly the same way. You stay stressed for months on end, nothing happens. And when you finally relax, and I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, then kaboom, something will happen. It's like how the day you do a deep cleaning of your whole house after getting sick and tired of waiting for your maid, that's the day your maid will come, and then three, four more maids will come looking for work. But when you leave your house waiting for the maid that, okay, this time she better dang well do her job. I am not going to do her job for her. What the frack am I paying her for? Let her come, let her clean the damn house. I am not touching it. The maid will not come for 3 days, for a week, for 4 days, for as long as your house is dirty. As long as you refuse to clean your house properly, your maid will not come. The day you get sick and tired and you say, frack it, and you deep clean the whole damn house from the walls to the lights to everything, then your maid will come and ring the doorbell. And then she will have a whole story about how many people in her. They keep on killing the same people off in their family, by the way. Yeah. Do you know how many times their mothers die, and how many times their aunts die, and how many times their nieces and nephews die? It's amazing the amount of people that they have to kill off, And if it's not a death, then it's somebody near death. And then if it's not somebody near death, then it's all three in one. One person was in near death, the other person then finally died, and then a third person had an accident. Wow. It's amazing. It's just amazing. The truth is that they were just going around looking for new jobs, using your name as a reference, saying that, oh, I'm working at that place. They trust me. You can ask them, they can give you my reference, and they're getting new jobs. And while trying to get those jobs, they think it's okay for them to take those days off. And you will still pay them the full amount. Yes, because this is Pakistan. It's everybody's right to be paid the full amount for causing you loss. In Pakistan, you pay people for causing you loss. And that is the life in Pakistan. That's the life of an average Pakistani in Pakistan. You're paying the government to fuck you. You're paying the army to fuck you. You're paying the judiciary to fuck you. You're paying your taxes so that every single person who's feeding off of your tax should go and fuck you. Yeah. This is what it is like to live in Pakistan. You're literally paying people to cause you loss, to cause you harm, to cause you damage. Yeah. I don't know how many times we people are going to keep on screaming blue murder about this. I don't know for how long we people are going to tolerate the vast majority's stupidity, how long we're going to tolerate our own parents' generation's stupidity that has led us to where we are today. I don't know how long we're going to tolerate the fact that Pakistan has nothing to offer us at all anymore now. And the fact that now even the world has got nothing to offer us. We are trapped in financial crisis. We are trapped in global crisis. We're trapped in a crisis in which there is really no way out. And who trapped us there in the first place? Our own parents. Our own parents are their generation, our government, our army. They have all trapped us in such a place where, and even if you want to go into, if you just want to leave everything and go to a place that is away from all of these geopolitics, where you can actually live a simple life, fine, it's not going to be a very luxurious life. You're not even probably going to earn 1/5 of what you would earn in your original capacity if ever given the right opportunity. But you know what? It's going to be worth it because it's not going to be an inflated location. It's not going to be a location that has financial inflation, in other words. So, what you earn will be enough to meet your expenses and your living and your food and everything else, right? Because those are those smaller islands or smaller countries that are, just away from all the geopolitics. But the problem is, now in those cases, you need to get multiple visas sometimes, because some countries is weird, but some countries actually demand that you get a visa just to land there, even though you're landing there because you're using connected flights, and it's because you have no choice because those places are so far. There is no direct flight, and you have to go, for example, via Latin America, or you have to go via Hawaii, for example, or Haiti. It doesn't matter where it is or what it is, but you have to go through 2 to 3 different destinations to get to your actual destination. So that flying in itself is tedious, which sort of makes you think 10 times that yeah, no, maybe it's not worth it. And then, the tedious task of ensuring that you may or may not need visa in certain of those places that you just have a connected flight to. So there is that. And then there is this global crisis right now on a different level. But the point is, traveling out of Pakistan has never been more difficult. It was always very difficult, by the way, but now it's been even more difficult, and the world doesn't have much to offer anymore. And the places that do have something to offer, as I said, going there is a task on its own. So, essentially, we're trapped. Those of us who do not want to leave the country using illegal means, we're trapped. Let's put it this way. So this day in, day out of unnecessary tensions, of stresses, of being in a hypervigilant mode, of always thinking that, okay, this damage is done, who caused it, or because the problem is also that people do not accept their mistakes. That's another biggest problem that you face here in Pakistan. People will not accept their mistakes because they feel that if they accept their mistakes, then that means that they're gone. That means that, then the other person is not going to give them what's rightfully theirs or whatever. The point is, when you have done something wrong, nothing is rightfully yours. You're supposed to compensate for the wrong that you've done. People are not supposed to pay you for something that you've done wrong. But that's the way it is. But I do understand, yeah, because you know what? Sometimes when you do admit you're wrong, then people think that they can put other things on you that you didn't even do. That is a problem here in this country. So I can understand. The society makes you the way you are, but then the society itself is a reflection of who and what you are. So there are those of us then who are misfits in the society because number one, we do admit when we're wrong regardless of how we get treated later on. We are very professionally ethical. We are very punctual. We get our work done. We're meticulous. We're perfectionists. We do not go for shortcuts. We're hardworking. Everything that you would expect from a civilized person and everything that you would expect that it should pay off, but it doesn't pay off. Especially not in a country like Pakistan. You suffer more losses. So, no good deed. Remember? Well, here is now the lamentations of our day in and day out problems where once again Wabda wreaked havoc. Um, and once again, the storms wreaked havoc. And once again, life is all about literally and practically cleaning only to get messed on more, doing shit only to get more shit thrown. You're dusting, and then after 5 minutes, the whole place is filled with dust. You're cleaning, after 5 minutes, the whole place is filled. This is literally what your life is in Pakistan. I mean, it's like you're seeing the physical manifestation in the form of cleaning. You're seeing the physical manifestation of your life. So we have nowhere else to go now from here. We have only resentment towards those who brought us here. We have grudges against those who have made our life hell here. And we have curses for those who ruined our country, ultimately ruining our futures and ruining our lives. And then we have to curse the whole universe for not even allowing us to die. This is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.